Hello, good evening and welcome to News at 10 live on TV3 and 3FM 92.7. We're broadcasting live from the News Hub at Adesawe, Kanda and Accra. You can also follow our live stream on Facebook and on 3news.com. Let's begin with the day's news highlights. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission (PURC) has announced a 17.5% reduction in electricity tariffs for residential consumers, effective March 15. The Commission has also announced a 30% reduction for non-residential consumers. The family of the late Major Maxwell Adam Mahama has expressed concern about the number of persons standing trial for the murder of their son. Spokesperson for the family, Zakaria Ahmed, told an Accra High Court that the 14 accused persons standing trial are fewer than the number of persons who committed the act, as seen in the video. The police administration says its concept of community policing will help reduce crime significantly. Speaking in an interview with TV3, the Director General of the Police Public Affairs Directorate, ACP David Eklu, said this form of community policing started last year, and so far 6,000 people have been recruited for training. And elsewhere, an aid convoy carrying urgently needed supplies has entered the rebel-held eastern Ghouta area of Syria for the first time in weeks. The 46 trucks are the first to reach the besieged enclave since mid-February, despite a recent UN call for a ceasefire and short daily truces ordered by Russia. At least 719 people have been killed within that period, many of them children. Those are our major news highlights. Remember, you can hear us live on your radio 92.7, and we're streaming live on Facebook and on 3news.com. Up next is the big one. Welcome. Now, the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission (PURC) has announced a 17.5% reduction in electricity tariffs for residential consumers, effective March 15. The Commission has also announced a 30% reduction for non-residential consumers.
The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission reviewed the tariffs after consulting with the various service providers. The adjustment include a 25% reduction for special load tariff consumers and 10% reduction for mines. The move is in accordance with the PURC Act 1997, Act 538.
There is also a policy shift from government point of view that in terms of the plans, they are making a deliberate policy shift to use natural gas in most of the plans. And this, even initially, the projections that the distributors used in coming out with their cost was 8.8424 USD per MMBTU, and the real figures we got from the ministries that is included in the tariff is now 7.29 USD per MMBTU. So
the new tariff structure is expected to remain the same until 2019, when it will next be reviewed. According to the PURC, the tariff reduction did not have to wait for the concession of ECG to take effect.
It might not affect it that much because this time we have stated clear in the press statement that the AAF is going to be used periodically. The automatic adjustment formula is going to be used periodically, and that will be adjusting for inflation, that will be adjusting for foreign exchange losses. So whatever comes in will not be felt that much with Ghanaians.
The Commission did not, however, review tariffs on water. The announcement comes barely a month after utility service providers Ghana Water Company Limited and Electricity Company of Ghana demanded a 200% increase in tariffs. The 2018 budget presented by the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, in November 2017 had projected a 13% reduction for residential and non-residential consumers. This reduction, however, exceeds the projected one.
Now, energy expert Kojo Poku has lauded government for the reduction in electricity tariffs. He also expressed satisfaction with the Public Utility Regulatory Commission insisting on the ECG to be prudent in its budget spending. He spoke on TV3's Business Focus.
One line item that we are all interested in is how much you pay your IPPs, which is electricity supply to you. Yes. And even at that, there's been renegotiation of some of the power purchase agreements.
I know about car power, for example.
Those ones are a bit cheaper. Okay. Then gas, which is a pass-through cost, has also come down. There's a reduction in the price of gas. Yes. So there is some room in how much you pay back these power companies. So that's only one line. The second line of what you need money for is to run your company. And looking at the way you've set out your budget to run a company, we don't think you need that much money. So we can afford to give Ghanaians a reduction, and at the same time, whatever money is left in your account should be able to help you run your company.
I mean, I'm thinking about it this way. ECG is running their business. They say they need money. PRC says they don't think that the ECG needs that kind of money.
Yes, because they have seen that, you see, as a regulator, they don't only regulate. The PRC is there to set targets and benchmarks for the utility company. We've never been in a country where ECG has ever declared profit in this country. So ECG year on year is declaring losses, and when government is the one, me and you, who's government, we pay taxes to support them in whatever they do. Absolutely. Now, nobody has ever queried how ECG spends money. This is the first time that the regulator is querying ECG how they spend their money. So they are saying that, look, Ghanaians pay for your expenditure. Ghanaians are the ones who pay for that extravagant budget that you have. We don't think it's fair for you to pass on that extravagant budget that you've always had to Ghanaians. So from this day onwards, please have a prudent and efficient cost of operation.
And to some other stories, the Minister for Food and Agriculture has rubbished claims by the General Agricultural Workers Union and the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, doubting the number of jobs created by government's Planting for Food and Jobs program. The two farmer groups earlier cast doubt on government's claims it had created 745,000 jobs through the program. But speaking to TV3, Dr. Owusu Afriyie-Akoto challenged the farmer groups to present evidence that suggests his figures have been exaggerated.
I have a basis.
They say they've spoken.
They've spoken to?
I mean, they've spoken to their farmers on the field.
Who are their farmers? You know, you see, you don't take these things. Who are their farmers? There are 5 million farm families in Ghana. We have chosen 200,000 to work with initially. How many of those 200 have they gone to ask?
Well, they say they want you to bring them facts. I mean, they want to
bring them facts. Yeah. They should be bringing me the facts that my figures are wrong, not the reverse. We don't do that. For goodness sake, I mean, Ghana, sometimes the way things are done, I'm very surprised that people like you should be entertaining and even asking a question like this. I'm the Minister of Agriculture. We have staff all over the 216 district assemblies. We have extension officers, directors of agriculture, and all that. We collect data.
So, I mean, what you have is data from your officers on the field.
No, but where else can I get I can't get the figures from this office. We have a system, you know. There's a civil service, and they provide a service. Before you can challenge what we do, you have to be very well prepared. You don't sit in a cry and say, oh, what he's saying is not true. Since I wrote that newspaper article, putting out the assumptions and the method that we have arrived, have you heard anybody coming in with an intellectual discourse to disprove what I'm saying?
It's
very easy for everybody to say, oh, I don't believe. You don't believe. This is not a church. This is economics. It's not a church. A church, if you belong to a church, then you're talking about belief. It is not belief. This is a very serious business. How many farmers do they represent?
well, I don't know their numbers, but I know.
Please, no. Don't make
Represent
that claim.
farmers.
Listen, don't make these claims like this, that they represent farmers. So anybody who gets up and says, I represent farmers, so this and that, you believe them?
Right, we're making attempts to speak with the General Agricultural Workers Union. Edward Kariwe agreed to speak to us earlier, but we're unable to raise him onto the telephone lines. But when we do, we'll bring it back so we can continue that discussion. But let's move on to sanitation. Most residents in Accra went about their normal duties as sanitary workers and volunteers cleaned up their neighborhoods on Saturday. The residents say their action is a protest over the failure of city authorities to ensure that garbage collected during such exercises end up at final disposal sites.
The early hours of Saturday morning, a cleanup exercise led by the Metropolitan Chief Executive Mohammed Ajay Sowa and other officials of the Assembly. All business activities were supposed to be on hold until 10 a.m. when the exercise ends. But some traders at Kaneshi and environs paid no heed. They went about their regular activities, saying they were waiting for the AMA team to clean up the place. At midday, the news team visited some areas to see the outcome. This is Abosokai. And this gutter is supposed to have been desilted.
But we have desilted, but because of the water, we are unable to go down to do it properly.
Right, we can now speak with the Vice Chairman of the Coalition of Non-Governmental Organizations in Water and Sanitation, CONIWAS. Atahin is joining us on the telephone lines now. Good evening, sir, and thank you very much. So, this apathy, which appears to be greeting sanitation exercises, from your perspective, what could the problem be? Yes, sir. Can you?
Like Ghanaians are expecting much more than they are seeing. Over the years, they have not seen concrete results. We have been doing a number of activities, and yet they don't seem to be seeing the results. And so people are beginning to feel tired that the politicians have promised us and they are not delivering. I think that is one of the major reasons why we are not seeing effort from the public.
Right now, access to sanitation, we know the evidence is there that access to sanitation is lagging behind with a coverage rate of about 15% as against the Millennium Development Goal target of 54%. What do you think can be done to bridge this gap?
Right, thank you. Let me make this point. When we talk about access to sanitation being 15%, here we are only talking about access to improve toilet facilities. So let's get that clear. We are not talking about solid waste management. The 15% represents access to improved toilet. In other words, we are saying that only 15% of Ghanaians have access to improved toilet facilities. And it boils down to a number of, reasons. You see, if you want to tackle the issue of sanitation, you do it comprehensively. Over the years, we have seen some ad hoc measures being taken. They are fine. The awareness creation is good. I've seen some TV, radio jingles. I'm seeing some newspaper publicity ads. But you see, you need to involve multi-stakeholders, civil society. And you need to tackle it from the regulation, from the enforcement, capacity building, financing, public education, and perhaps infrastructure development. But
Ms. Ayin, all the things you're talking about appear to be things that do not necessarily focus on the individual. What can the individual do? Which roles should we, the citizens, be playing to ensure that we have clean environments as well? We need to play a part, don't we?
Perfect. And if you look at all the documents that we have developed, particularly the National Environmental Sanitation Strategy and Action Plan, NESAP, you see, it spells out the roles of all the stakeholders, including the individuals. Why we have not been able to implement is another issue, and that's why I talked about enforcement. You see, if you leave the citizen, they will want to do what they want to do once they can get away with it. But if you are able to enforce and ensure that people take responsibility for their actions, then they will begin to do the right things. I'm sure you have seen solid waste around the capital, and sometimes you find people sitting there and selling. There's no responsibility because they think that AMA will come and collect. If we begin to have that attitude that sanitation is the responsibility of an organization, it will not work. And that's why sometimes when I hear that the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources is not doing much, I think that we are not getting the understanding of the role of the ministry. The ministry cannot, on its own, be able to collect all the waste in the capital. It takes MMDAs and other stakeholders and individuals to be able to do that. But I feel that we are not cracking the way we should be doing.
Right, Zahin, we're grateful for your time. Thank you extremely for joining us. Atahin is Vice President of the Coalition of Non-Governmental Organizations in Water and Sanitation. And I'm Stephen Enti. This is News at 10. We're live from the News Hub at Adesawe, Kanda, and Accra. You can also follow our live stream on Facebook and on 3news.com. We'll be right back. Right, welcome back. It was her dream to become a lawyer, but she's currently a teacher, having served for 28 years. As Ghana joins the rest of the world to celebrate this year's International Women's Day, we'll bring you the story of armless Enyonam Louisa Isi, who has braved all odds to make an impact wherever she finds herself.
It's 6 a.m. and Enyonam has already started her usual daily routine. She takes her 2 biological and 1 adopted son to school before heading straight to the market to buy food items needed for supper. She teaches children who are on admission at the National Catholic Health Service Orthopedic Training Center at Adredri, near Nsawam. She was reposted from the Adredri Catholic School, where she had been teaching for 17 years. This is her 6th month with these children, but she is already a source of inspiration to them. She teaches students patience in classes 1, 2, and 3. After giving up on her dream of becoming a lawyer due to certain challenges and factors, Enyonam is worried that the next generation of persons with disability will be more deprived. She laments how persons with disability are denied access to so many public places and the high level of insecurity they encounter.
Parents of these children, many a times, they don't see their future to be bright. So they don't make any attempt of taking them to school. But if the government or the society try as much as possible to do little to help all of us, it will go a long way to help those of us who are old and then the young ones that are coming.
She encourages persons with disability to dare to fulfill their dream.
To be a disabled is not easy, but we shouldn't just see the way we are and the way the society is not helping us. We should at least push ahead, and by all means, one day they will also make it.
Director of the facility, Sister Elizabeth Newman, believes Enyonam is a blessing sent from God. She recounts how accomplished Enyonam has become, having watched her grow up.
It has been quite interesting watching her grow up and watching her become a young woman and now quite an accomplished woman. I'm very proud of her. I was very excited when the government sent Enyonam to our school as the headmistress. I think she is performing well, and I am not surprised. She has performed well in any particular job that she has been given.
This sign is what? What is the meaning of this sign? I said to you, wait, I said to you, okay, go here. Aha, where? Where then? Huh? Hello, where then? Huh?
Incredible, Enyonam. That's a very, very positive and brilliant story. We end on that note. My name is Stephen Enti. Thank you very much for making time for News at 10. There is more news at 3news.com. On behalf of the crew here, good night.